last morning here in Australia. I'm not sure what time it is where you are, and that will also depend on when I actually get this uploaded onto YouTube, which will hopefully be tomorrow. So this one is some Bookpage envelopes. I sat at my TV in the evenings. I sit at the TV, I have a roller cart beside me with some supplies on it, and I just make whatever comes to mind. But the other day I watched a YouTube of Natasha from Treasure Books. I've put her name down below, so if you want to go and watch her videos, she does absolutely amazing stuff. I love what she does. Her skills with her journaling and making and the way she puts things together, she's just really awesome. So go ahead and go over and check her out. But she made these envelopes and she did quite a few different styles. All I'm doing is these ones that are a bit, I'm going to call them wonky envelopes. So this one's pretty standard, and this little flower on the back actually holds the back flap down so you can get in. So it's a long skinny envelope, and that's a pretty standard envelope. Nothing too, I mean, these are nothing exciting, they're just slightly different to the norm. So this one I've got a angled back on it, and you probably can't see there, so I'm just going to grab some ink and show you the actual edge of the book page is on an angle. So that's the empty one. I'll go right up here. So if I put I'm umming really badly today. I hate it when people and I am being the worst. So very sorry about the umming. Just my words are getting mixed up today. There I go again. Another I'll try not to. So I put this envelope is a wonky one, so you can see the back, this one angles, this angles, that angles, and the flap angles. So it's just something just a little bit different. Looks like a totally normal envelope on the front, apart from my decorations, and in the back it's just a little bit funky. And you can do them any sizes. It depends what page you start with, what it ends up with, but you can obviously start with smaller pages, bigger pages, cut your pages down, whatever you want to do to make long skinny ones, shorter ones, a couple more long skinny ones. This one has a curved edge and a little curved edge there. Square ones with a wonky curve and a humpy curve. When I saw Natasha do these curvy ones, I was like, I've got to do those. This one, I've tucked a flap in underneath here, so I've only glued up to about here, so you can just tuck the flap in. Because these are book pages, you've got to be a little bit gentle with them, but I usually find if you bend the envelope, then you can pull it up and then push it back in quite easily. And I think it's cute the way that closes. So square ones, got another little square one here. It has a really wonky curve there, and a little baby one with little chicks on it that has a funny shape there. So once I've made them, I just decorate them with whatever's close by. And I felt like, obviously, the other day I felt like doing a rainbow because I've got pink, blue, purple, brown, yellow, and a bit of orange. So there we go. So I pulled out some book pages. Now for this one, if you're going to be using envelopes that you're going to keep reusing and people are going to look at in your journals and things like that, you want to have quite a sturdy page. You don't want anything that's too old and brittle, because if it's too old and brittle, when you fold it, it's just going to tear, and that is definitely what you don't want. Now these pages have come out of a book, I forget what it's called, but I have a few books where the writing's all about like murder and things like that. Obviously people don't want those books because they're the ones I found in the op shop. So I have to be really careful when you're put it together, what words are on there. So I always try and cover up the words I don't want people to see with decorations. So that's what I've done with some of these. But also this one here, I really love this one. It's really cute, but it's got all these words on it that you really don't want people reading and feeling good about themselves. So I just went over the words that I didn't like much, but I did it in a pattern. So some of them are ordinary words, and it just makes it look like that's the way you've done your decoration. So I thought that was kind of a cool idea. Probably some words on the back I'll have to do something with as well. But I think then again, it depends where you put it and how you put it in your journal. So all we're doing, here's a book page, and literally I'm just going to straighten the edge of the page with a ruler and a knife. And as you can see, I'm not being accurate. This is all about being wonky. We want wonky. So I just fold in one side. You can fold it in as little or as much as you like. Around about, I think this is probably about 3/4 of an inch. Yeah, it's roughly about 3/4 of an inch. Depending on how wonky you want to do the backs of your envelopes, so the more wonky you do them, it's better to have thicker sides, because if you did your sides really thin and then you cut in, your join's going to be right down here, so you're not going to have much of a pocket for whatever you put in your envelope. So I recommend doing between half and a full inch on your sides. So that's your sides. Then we just fold up the bottom. And now, because your folds aren't perfect, you can see here, that doesn't quite line up. But we're okay with that because these are wonky envelopes. So you fold your top up, bottom up, and your top down. And again, there's absolutely no measuring. It's just whatever you feel like doing at the time. So then we end up with a squarish envelope. So now what you do is you open it back up, and Natasha's little trick is to mark the corners, the intersections of the folds. So we'll mark them here so they're easy to see, and I'm doing them big black marker to make it easier to see for you. And as you can see, that comes through your page, so you may or may not want to see that later. I'll probably ink the edges so it'll sort of disappear, but do it with a pencil if you don't want it to show through. And then the next thing to do is to trim your sides. So with envelopes, you don't want these corners here. So if you're making a very simple envelope, you would literally cut out this square, cut it off, cut it off, cut it off, cut it off. But we're not doing straight lines today. We're doing crooked lines. So what did I do with my little scissors that I literally just brought over here? There they are, Cutter-Bee scissors. Love these scissors. They are so awesome. Now, Natasha just jumps right in and cuts her curves as she goes, but I found it easier to just trim these corners off first. So I'm just cutting to the side of the fold, and I'll just do a curve on the side ones here. So these side ones, I'll do a little curve, and then I'm just going straight up beside the fold, but on the flap side of the fold. And you want to make sure you cut that fold part off. You don't want that as part of your envelope. And then just curve this here. And this is, like I said, wonky, so we're not being perfect here. We're just cutting wonky lines. And that was really, really wonky. And I straightened that up. Just because I'm thinking, like, yes, I need to straighten that, but you don't. It's wonky. We're going wonky. So now you can just leave this as a standard squarish envelope, and you would have just glue these down, and this is your flap. But we want to add a bit of pizzazz. So to make it easier when you're starting out, I suggest drawing the line that you want to cut. So now just do a nice curve here, and we'll curve this back over this way. And then I cut this flap because I want to do that one first, and I'll tell you why in a minute. And again, this depends on how confident you are with what you're doing. I found it easier to do it this way to start with. Once you've done a few and you realize how it works, you can just go for it and cut your curves. When you open like this, you can go curvy, 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 and it's done. But this way, I'll make sure that I get coverage. So I'm just going to ink these edges so you can see what's going on. Ink these real quick and quite messy, which is fine. That way you can see we've got a nice little curve, and these flaps come right into these points here. So we've got plenty of coverage for whatever we tuck in there. And this flap comes down. All I want to do with this envelope is make sure that I cover any gaps. So when I draw my curve on here, I'll make it a little bit wider like this. And again, you don't have to be, we're not striving for perfection, so it's just rough. Oh, about there, that'll cover all these gaps here. But if you don't want to cover the gaps, you don't have to cover the gaps. You could have a really wonky envelope and not cover those gaps, which is perfectly fine. Because if you put something matching or something contrasty in there, and it would show through the gaps, it probably actually add to the feel of the envelope. I'm just going to ink these up again so you can see what I'm doing. And once you've done a few, you get the hang of it, and it's surprisingly easy and addictive. Now when I want to glue this, I only want to glue up to this point here where this flap matches the side flaps, otherwise you're going to end up with glue inside. So what Natasha's suggestion, which is an awesome suggestion, I just put a little mark here and here, and then mark the back of this one as well. Well, she only marked the back of this one, but I marked them both. And just a standard PVA glue. I go from that mark down here, and from this mark down there, and then you go up the flap up to that mark there. And I find doing all these bits of glues in both places, both sides, just adds a bit of strength to your envelope. Push that down. There's my little envelope, and I need something to poke into it. I've got a piece of paper here. There we go. Got a great pocket for an envelope there. Keep those smushed down till they dry, and your little flap covers those gaps. And there's your first wonky envelope. How cool is that? Then you just decorate it. I'm just going to make another envelope now. So I want to get a couple made that are a bit slightly different, just so you can see how they go. And I'm not going to do much decorating on this video. I'm just going to actually make the envelopes. I'm sure you all can decorate them however you want to. Most of these I've started with a stencil and some ink pads with a blending brush, one of these blending brushes, and stenciled over them to give them a background, and then added some decorations on top of that. So again, we fold in the sides and make this one a little bit different. So what will we do different? We fold the bottom up not quite as far as we did the last one, and I'm going to fold the top down, so the top is going to be longer. There we go. There's a little envelope. Open it up. I'll mark my spots in pencil this time. And the reason I mark these spots is it makes it so much easier when you're cutting those corners out, because you can see where to cut to. Because when you're cutting paper, Bookpage, sometimes they get hidden in the print and you can't see them. So again, with my top and bottom flats, I'm just going to cut it just to the side of the fold line for now, and then I curve the sides. And one of the tricks with these is just to keep your side flaps, keep them very shallow. Don't cut these right down here and make them really small, because then you don't have much to glue your up pocket onto. So you can always trim them down a bit later if you feel the need to, which I have done on some of them occasionally. Sometimes I trim them down a bit more. Once I've cut my top and bottom flaps and I know what they're doing, then you can adjust your side flaps if you want to. So there we go, that's the corners cut out. So that would be a standard kind of envelope, like that, with a big flap. But we want to make it wonky. So this time, and I'm going to draw them first, just so you can see what I'm doing. This time I'm going to do the mountain style one. Let's do it really wonky. Where's my rubber? I don't know where my rubber is, so I'll worry about rubbing that out in a minute. You see, I'm not perfect. It takes a little while sometimes to work out where you want to go. So there we go. I'm going to do a little mountain. And then I'll just need to rub out my pencil lines when I get to that point. And tip with cutting, you should move your paper more than you move your scissors. And then you get smoother circles. You can see this circle's not that smooth because I actually moved the paper more. So I can just come in, trim it round, move the paper. There we go. That's a little bit better. Then we have our mountain. I'll ink that up so you can see it. And obviously this is just paper, so you can use any paper. You can use card if you want a stiffer envelope. You could use scrapbooking paper. You can use any paper, any book pages, whatever you want to do, whatever tickles your fancy or whatever you want to put in. So now my flap that comes down, I need it to make sure it comes down over that piece. So it comes down to about that point there. So I'm just like roughly gauge that, and then I'm going to do another wonky piece here, which should match the opposite of what I've just done there, if that makes sense. So we'll go round here, there we go, and I'll ink that up, and fingers crossed it actually covers all the gaps. There we go. So when the flap comes down, it covers all these gaps in here, so you can't see what's sitting in the envelope, and you've got this cute little wonky envelope. So now to glue, again, mark this point here roughly on that side, this one here, and on this side here, so I know where to bring the glue to. Bit of PVA glue. I always run it right around on my flap as well. Some people don't put on this edge of the flap, but I like to do that. It just gives me that extra assurance that everything's stuck down properly. And then around the top here. There we go. Smoosh it down. Use a piece of card to put in here. Make sure you haven't stuck this to the other part, otherwise you won't be able to use your envelope. So that's really good. That's fine in there. And then you've got this wonky envelope. You can use a paper clip to keep it closed if you want to keep it closed that way. Or there's heaps of different closures you can do. But just paper clipping that into your journal on a page. So it's your journal page. We'll just paper clip that on there like that. Then you've got this cute little envelope. People can just pull up, take out the little letter that's inside, have a little secret hiding there, and you can actually, if you put this on, if you don't decorate that side, you can put it on this side, and it adds a cute decoration to your page. with sweet little wiggly lines. So that's the simplest of them, and I'm just going to show you those couple today. And I'll just do a quick stencil. I literally just put a stencil on top, pick a stamp pad. This is Stampin' Up's Cajun Craze. I have a lot of Stampin' Up stuff because I did Stampin' Up for a little while years ago, and they're still really good. Just dab your brush onto the ink pad, and this is a very well inked pad, so it's going to be nice and dark, which is awesome. There you go, decorated. You can just leave it like that if you want to. And I did the backs as well, just so it all matchy, because most of my envelopes I'm just going to put into tucks or something in a book, not necessarily glue it down. So I like to have the back decorated as well, but I don't stick things on the back because I may end up sticking it into a book somehow or not. So I've just done the back as well, so our flap matches the back there. Then you can put some decorations on the front or decorations on the back. So I keep one side clear of bulky things. So this one, if I wanted to, I could put it in my journal by gluing that flap onto the page. This sits here. You've got pretty flap on that side, and you can open it up and get your bits and pieces out of there like that, or at the top, and then you flip it up, you pull your little letter out, or like I said before, paper clip it on there. So that's just a quick video. If you'd like to see more in-depth ones or more versions or more different things, let me know, and I can do more videos on making little envelopes. And I'll just show you again these little ones that I've made. Smaller piece of paper, instead of cutting curves, I cut angles. So you can do them angular or circular. And I've done them all differently. That one just comes in a big curve to the side and then a smaller curve here. And the long skinny one, which is all straight lines. So there's just straight lines up here. That's a fairly basic standard envelope, really. It's not a funky one at all. This one's really funky. I decided to go wacky with my angles, and it's really angly. And you can see what's inside. So if I tuck something in there, let's see what I've got that'll fit. I'll use this envelope. If I tuck something in there, no, I need it smaller, don't I? I need a smaller bit. Let me see. Will this fit in here? Let's chop this down to size. Just going to quickly cut a piece off this so it fits in here. You're going to be able to see it. So when you put something in there, it'd obviously be deeper, and it sits in the envelope like this. When you close your envelope, you've got your corner sticking out, which I thought was really cute. This is made slightly differently, and if you watch Treasure Books, you'll see how she did it. And I will do some more videos and more envelopes because I'm really loving these funky shapes. And I like the idea of having the inside sticking out so people can see there's something in there. I think that's really cute. So I'm going to work on that idea and maybe take that a bit further, and I'll do a video on these envelopes in the future. So thanks again. Thanks for coming along. Like and subscribe. Press the buttons so I can keep doing more videos. And I'll see you in the next one. Cheerio.